Welcome back, and joining us for a look at the day's markets action is Imtiaz Suliman from Sentio Capital. Thank you so much for your time, Imtiaz. Quite a divergence that we're seeing there in trading, looking at the JSE versus the US markets. Starting off with the JSE, is the JSE at this point just in waiting? Because we have seen it trading flat as you've started off the week yesterday and today.
Yeah. Hi, Janati. I think what we're seeing now is a bit of consolidation from a quite strong move that we saw in June. If we look at the MSCI South Africa index, in June, that was up around 5.5% in rands. But if you translate that into dollars, because the rand was also much stronger against the dollar, that was up close to 9%. So it was the best performing emerging market in June, and that's on the back of our election, going favorably, and the valuations on some of the listed shares on our market that were trading very attractively. So I think we're seeing a bit of consolidation after that strong run with sort of a wait and see period. What needs to happen now is, as the earnings come through and companies report, that would give a better idea on how companies are performing, but also on their outlook for the coming months ahead.
Yeah, and also really quite fascinating seeing that every single trading session, there's a fresh record high for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Quite a lot of information that those markets are due to digest this week. And I'm wondering if at this point, they're just front loading a lot of the good news that is still to come in the US.
Yeah, we've seen the US market being quite a strong performer, and in particular, the technology sector. If you look at the Magnificent Seven, made up of the likes of NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, those have been very strong performers, and that's been driven, on this theme of artificial intelligence chips. And that's really been driving the S&P 500 for a year and a half now. So that's continued, as you mentioned, throughout this year.
Yeah.
And what we need to see again, is the earnings coming through as strongly. We know that revenue has been very strong at the likes of NVIDIA. But the market breadth has been also very narrow from that perspective.
All right. Well, let's come back home. Not a lot of company news out, but a few announcements there coming out of the JSE. Ethos Capital, or EPE Capital Partners, of course, giving us an update today on the unbundling of its shareholding in Brait. Of course, we know about that announcement, but seeming that all the approvals, they've gotten all of them now, with the last one being from the South African Reserve Bank. We did see that share price at some point surging 7%. I mean, is this worth a celebration by Ethos shareholders?
Yeah, I think the past hasn't been as great, or what Ethos would have liked. It's been a bit of a troubled asset. Some of the underlying assets in Brait have been very challenged, with the likes of the Virgin Active gyms, the New Look operation in the UK, also taking a bit longer to turn around. So I think it's been a bit of a disappointment since Ethos has taken control of Brait, and now the unbundling is the separation of that. So I wouldn't say it's been a success, but at least Ethos can focus on some of its core businesses rather than have this distraction of Brait in its portfolio.
All right. Well, talking about businesses letting go of the businesses under them, Zida Investments announced that it is disposing of its Applethwaite farm for an amount of 190 million rand today. Is another special dividend on the cards for Zida Investments, as we have seen in the last while?
Yeah, I would think that would be one of the options that the company would consider, given that they've been returning cash to shareholders in the past. Unless there's some other growth opportunities that they have in mind, I think we could expect some form of dividends or share buybacks as a cash returning mechanism for shareholders.
All right. Well, Imtiaz, let us get to your stock picker for today. What are you hanging your hat on?
Yeah, I'm going with a US company, Nike. Although it's listed in the US, they generate quite a bit of their sales throughout the rest of the world. They've gone through a bit of a tough period recently with earnings, declining, revenue also declining, and the company is in a bit of a repositioning phase in terms of getting their product newness in check. I think they've lost some way in terms of product innovation, and some of the competitors, with the likes of Adidas on cloud, taking some market share from them. But nonetheless, it's a very strong brand with a good balance sheet, high returns on equity. And I think it might be challenging in this next few months, but they will eventually get it right with margins expanding, and you should see some good earnings growth coming out of Nike.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your insights on what has been moving investors' money in today's trading session, Imtiaz. That was Imtiaz Suliman from Sentio Capital.